You're surrounded by enemies. Everything and everyone is closing in on all sides. You don't have hardly any options left. Well, what are you going to do? This is exactly where Ahaz, king of Judah, found himself. Stick around, and we'll see how things turned out for him. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today is July the 15th. Today we're going to be looking into a pivotal period in the history of the divided kingdom of Israel and Judah, and look at the parallel accounts that are recorded in 2 Chronicles chapter 28 and 2 Kings 16 through 17. Now, these chapters paint a sobering picture of the leadership gone astray and the dire consequences that followed both Judah and Israel. In the next few minutes, we'll explore some common threads and key points in these historical narratives, and we'll uncover some lessons that still resonate today. So let's get started. Our focus today begins with King Ahaz in Judah, whose reign is detailed in both the accounts of 2 Chronicles 28 and 2 Kings 16. Both accounts highlight a significant and tragic turning point, Ahaz's deep dive into idolatry. We read in 2 Chronicles 28:1, he did not follow the ways of his ancestor David, but instead he embraced the detestable practices of the surrounding nations. 2 Chronicles 28 emphasizes the extent of this apostasy. He started burning incense to the Baals, and he even offered his own sons as sacrifices. A horrible act condemned by God. He continued to offer sacrifices on the high places, on the hills, and under every green tree. God clearly had been patient enough, and he began to bring a series of judgments against Judah by means of several nations. First, the Syrians defeat Ahaz in a battle and carried away many captives to Damascus. Next, Israel, their northern brothers, defeated them severely, killing 120,000 men in one day. Ahaz's own son, Mahaziah, he was killed, and Azrikam, the son of Ahaz's closest advisor, was also slain. This defeat went a lot further than just the loss on the battlefield. The leadership of both the civilian and military chain of command was greatly impacted. They took many captives from Judah, men, women, and children, and they intended to sell them into slavery. However, a prophet whose name was Obed, along with some of the prominent leaders of Israel, intervened, and they pointed out that it wasn't permitted under God's law. The prophet warned them that they should not treat the people of Judah in this manner to avoid bringing more sin and judgment on the nation of Israel. They finally convinced the commanders to release the captives to their custody, and they fed them, and they clothed them, and they returned them to Jericho. While all this was going on, the Philistines just moved into the lower half of Judah and started settling all of Judah's territory. One can only assume that they were emboldened by Israel's decisive victory over Judah. After all, the army was all but wiped out. Who's going to stop them? Ahaz is still facing military threats from Syria and the northern kingdom of Israel. And now he's got the Philistines right in his back door. What's he to do? Tiglath-Pileser III, king of Assyria, comes against Judah. Ahaz, instead of seeking God's help, he made a fateful decision here. It's recorded in 2 Kings 16 that he sought an alliance with the king of Assyria. And to secure his alliance, Ahaz resorted to stripping the temple and his royal treasury of all the gold and the silver, and he sent the treasury as tribute to the Assyrian king. This act demonstrated clearly that he lacked faith in God's ability to protect Judah, and it further cemented the reliance on foreign powers and their gods. Now, the consequences of Ahaz's actions extended far beyond a mere political alliance. 2 Kings 16 details how Ahaz, he was so impressed by an altar that he saw in Damascus that he sent a design back to Jerusalem and had a replica built and put in the temple. He then proceeded to use it to make offerings, pagan sacrifices, and all sorts of things, and effectively marginalized the bronze altar that had been used for generations to worship the Lord. This is the very reason why God had warned his people not to make alliances with foreign powers and not to follow their gods. There are dangerous influences in foreign cultures and religions when God's people turn away from him. It highlights how seeking worldly solutions and embracing foreign ideologies can lead to the erosion of true faith and the adoption of practices that are directly opposed to God's commands. While Judah was spiraling out of control under Ahaz, the northern kingdom of Israel was also facing God's judgment, culminating in a complete downfall. 2 Kings 17 explains the reasons behind these catastrophic events. For a prolonged period, the people of Israel had forsaken the Lord their God, worshiping idols, following the practices of the nations that God had driven out before them, and ignoring the warnings of the prophets. Now, despite God's repeated attempts to turn them back through his messengers, Israel persisted in their rebellion. They rejected God's laws, they made alliances with foreign powers, they embraced idolatry on a massive scale. And the last king of Israel, Hosea, the 19th king of Israel, after he became king, one of the first things he did was to make an alliance with the Assyrians and pay tribute to them for protection and favor. However, at the same time, he was trying to curry favor with Egypt and break away from Assyria. And his plan was not kept a secret. As a result, the Lord brought the king of Assyria, Shalmaneser V, against him. And after a siege of Samaria, the capital city, the Israelites were carried away into exile into Assyria, and foreigners were brought in to settle their land. This event is detailed in 2 Kings 17, and it marks the end of the northern kingdom of Israel as a distinct entity. When God finally decides it's over, it's over. He's given his people chance after chance, mercy upon mercy, and now judgment. But he will bring some back because he still has a covenant to keep, and he will not break it, even though his people did time after time. Now, examining these parallel accounts in 2 Chronicles 28 and 2 Kings 16 and 17, it reveals several common themes. First, both of these narratives underscore a severe consequence for idolatry and turning away from the one true God. Whether it was Ahaz adopting pagan altars and practices, or the northern kingdom and their widespread worship of false gods, the result was divine displeasure and ultimately judgment. Second, both stories highlight the danger of seeking worldly solutions and alliances instead of trusting in God. Ahaz's reliance on Assyria brought a temporary relief to his problem, but ultimately it led to further spiritual decline and subjugation. Similarly, Israel depended on foreign powers and rejected God's guidance, and it sealed their fate. The accounts of Ahaz and the fall of the northern kingdom serve as a reminder throughout all history. They teach us the vital importance of remaining faithful to God and avoiding the allure of foreign ideologies and practices, and placing our trust firmly in his sovereignty and his protection. I'd like to thank you for joining me today on Set Sail with Grace Harbor. And if you found this insightful, please like and subscribe to this video. Let other people know about it. Let me know what your thoughts are about what we learned today in this reading by putting it in the comments below. So until next time, friends, I'll see you back here. Bye-bye.